It is 9 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we will start with, I will note that Mr. Williams, Mr. Merrihew, and Mr. Davis are present. Mr. Swift and Ms. Cordano, Ms. Hudson are excused. We do have a quorum, so we will go ahead and start with the first item on our agenda, which is our minutes from our January 26, 2023 meeting. I'll entertain a motion to accept them.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Next, we'll go to our secretary report. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Mayor, board members. It seems like we were just here. But, actually, I have nothing to report today, so no news is good news.
Agreed. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have our program manager report. I see Chris here. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Mine's not quite as short as Joe's, but
okay.
we're getting shorter, which is good, right?
Right.
So just to run through in terms of the project status summary there, in terms of final payments, I've got one left for tranche 1, which is good. So we've got 2 final payments this month for approval, the CM for tranche 1 projects and the Nottingham High School for the controls, which leaves us again with one remaining for tranche 1 and then about 4 payments remaining for tranche 2. Continue to develop our reports in terms of final cost reports. Under tranche 2, we got 5 of the 6 reports have been drafted, just trying to work towards getting final payments issued there, and you can kind of see how that's going to roll out. Basically the first quarter of 23 for Nottingham and Elms, and the second quarter of 23 for Henniger, because we got a little bit longer there to get through punch list and close out and everything that goes with that. The concession storage building, our hope there is that we put some pressure there and made some advancements. Our hope there is we can get final payment issued on that in March. So that would bring that to a close. Up at Henniger, we did turn over the upper level kitchen, has been turned over for use. We still have some miscellaneous finishes that are continuing through the building and some punch list items. We did complete the classroom windows in 265 A and B, and those are now reoccupied. That's the picture that you see in the upper right, where the new window is there in that classroom. So made those a lot nicer than they were in terms of before. They were no natural light in that space at all, so improvement there. In terms of Henniger, we kind of went through that in terms of where we are. Punch list corrected works about 95%. Nottingham, the GC and the controls are 100% complete, and provided we get all the closeout documentation, anticipate final payment on that in March. Clary, is largely the same, anticipate that payment in March. And Elms, we're still chasing down a couple things there, closeout documentation, and one punch list item, which is essentially a report for the tab report for the mechanical systems. So we're working through that. And then the focus underneath our critical issues is just the Henniger, just grinding through any and all changes that are still open over there, and anything that might be contentious or got put on the side as we were moving through construction, just kind of working through that. And then continuing our efforts to dot the I's on all the change orders and get those into SED for approval, making some good progress there. We're up to about 75% on that. Good. So that kind of covers my report. Any questions?
Questions for Chris?
Okay.
Thanks. Keep going. Next up, we have our financial statement for December. Good morning, Donna.
Good morning. We have the long version of the financial statement this month because we're at the end of the quarter.
Okay.
So I'm going to start down on page 5, which is the statement of position. Hopefully you guys got the same report. Yep. The one with all the numbers.
Right.
So this month, just a couple of the highlights. We did have some interest earnings of $20,000, which increased our total for the year. And then we had vendor payments that were approved and paid in December of $897,000. So we ended December with just phase 2 cash of $7.8 million. And also our capital assets is up to $406 million. Now that is that does represent all the activity up to 6/30/22. So that includes closed phase 1 projects, closed Phase 2 projects as of 6/30/22, minus our accumulated depreciation of 23 million, and then we do have construction in progress included in there of 228 million. So that's what comprises that number. That number will go up considerably at 6/30/23 when we start closing projects, okay? And when I say closing projects, that means we take them off our books and we file the final cost report, okay? And I think the superintendent has the pleasure of signing the Fowler final cost report yesterday or today.
Nice.
Yep, which is a huge milestone for us. I was rather excited when I saw that. So down to the current liabilities, that does encompass our total bonds payable, current and long-term, for both Phase 1 and Phase 2. So that's our outstanding debt. And then our total net position fund balance at the end of December was $97.7 million. So now I'm going to go on to the next page, which is the statement of sources and expenditures. And for Phase 1, we had 1.2 million come in. That was the pass-through from the district and to pay debt service. And then we had a federal subsidy of $361,000. That was reported in prior months. It was in November. And then we did have an interest payment in November of 1.3 million, and we transferred $361,000 out to the district to offset debt service payments. In Phase 2, we did have the pass-through again for 5.2 million, and the earnings on investments are up to 84,000 for this fiscal year. And then we had the Ed Smith claim settlement of 270,000. Our total capital outlay from July to the end of December is $5.2 million. We did have an interest payment of $5.2 million. And now I'm going to go on to the next page, which is page 7. That's our cash flow statement. And this report represents sources and disbursements on a cash basis that flow through all the JSCB accounts. These are actual figures from July to December. And the cash flow statement reflects that the JSCB will end the fiscal year with approximately $9 million based on what we've actually spent and the projections in the coming months. Okay? Now that $9 million, don't be disillusioned there. We're not ending up with $9 million at the end of the project. Included in that $9 million is $6.5 million that's set aside for debt service. Okay? So that's what we're projecting for cash. And then on the last page, well, I shouldn't say that, not last page, but page 8. This is our incidental and construction costs paid by the JSCB to date. And they're presented by category for both Phase 1 and Phase 2 projects from inception to date. So this report only reflects invoices paid by JSCB as of the end of December. So for Phase 1, you can see we're at 141.6. That'll never change. And the expenditures are 141.6. The sources for Phase 2 are 292.6 million. And the total spent at the end of December was $284.7 million. So I did include the last page, that our financial summary, which is what I've been handing out monthly, just to give you a quick visual if everybody likes to look at that summary better. So that concludes my report. Does anybody have questions?
Questions for Donna? Thank you. Good report. All right. Finally, we have, looks like one resolution. I'll turn it back to Joe to introduce it.
Yes, thank you. We have resolution number 2, which would be our monthly payments for the past January.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Any other business to come before the board?
Not that I believe, not that I have.
Anything else? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second?
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.